Roll call, please.
Commissioners Chant,
Present.
Despain,
Present.
Estrada,
Present.
McDonald,
Present.
Tufts, absent. Vice Chair Bartlett, absent. Chairman Carter.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. So before we move on to public business from the floor, I'd like to introduce our new commissioner. It's Adolfo Estrada. And at this point, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone here, and I'm happy to be here serving alongside all of you and hope to be able to work with all the stakeholders in our community.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to public business from the floor. If an individual is unable to stay the entire meeting due to extenuating circumstances, a total of 10 minutes is provided at this time during which input may be given regarding agenda items. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. A person who would like to address the Architectural and Design Commission on any agendized item is required to complete a speaker card for the recording secretary and identify the agenda item you would like to discuss. Each person will be given an opportunity to address the Architectural and Design Commission at the time such item is discussed by the Architectural and Design Commission. Speaker cards available at the entrance of the council chambers. Individuals will have 3 minutes each to speak. Do we have any speakers?
There are none this evening.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar. Item 1, approval of the minutes from November 1st, 2018.
I move that we approve the minutes from the regular meeting from November 1st, 2018.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, let's vote.
That's 3 and 2 abstentions.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to new business. The next item is new business director's review number 18-102. Can we hear the staff report, please? Ms. Campagna.
Good evening, Commissioners. This item before you is Director's Review number 18102. So the proposed project is for a new 4,238 square foot commercial building with a drive-through establishment. It is located on the northwest corner of 10th Street West and Avenue K. There is an existing shopping center. It's called Oasis Shopping Center, and it has tenants that are The Habit, Dunkin' Donuts, and Blaze. The shopping center was originally approved under Site Plan Review 1606. The proposed new building would be located on the northeast portion of the site along 10th Street West. The project includes clay, roof tile, Eldorado stone, and awnings. They will be implementing the same design and materials as the existing building. Overall, the proposal will be consistent and compatible with the existing shopping center. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this project. Staff and the applicant are available for any questions.
Thank you very much for that. Do we have any questions on this project?
Maybe just a comment, saying that it meshes well with what the interior, with the exterior of every other building is in that area. From what I'm saying when I went over there, it fits in with the perspective of what everybody else wants to do. So just wanted to say that that's appreciated.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Do we have any landscaping or anything to talk about besides asphalt and concrete on this?
They are proposing landscaping as the part of the project. They're adding more as part of the new buildings, and then they're implementing along the perimeters as well.
So is it going to be similar to what's there now, the existing
Yes.
plan? Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm just going to follow up with, my concern is the landscaping, and that it follows the same look and feel that's currently on the site that it's expanding upon, at least because it is a lot of asphalt and concrete there. Other than that, I see 360-degree architecture like we request. There's good articulation of the buildings. it overall, and it does match what exists there. I think that's good. That's just the big thing that I would say is the landscaping detail. It's important.
Thank you, Commissioner. If there is no further discussion, do we have a motion?
I motion that we approve it. We approve the, I motion that we approve, is it SPR 1? I'm sorry.
Director's Review 18102.
Yes, Director's Review 18102.
Do we have a second?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All right, let's vote.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. So we will move forward to site plan review number 18-07. Can we hear the staff report, please, Ms. Magana?
Good evening, Commissioners. The item before you is a preview of site plan review 18-07 for a new 11,296 square foot building located at the southeast corner of Market Street and Enterprise Parkway in the light industrial zoning designation. The applicant has prepared a presentation for the preview.
Hey, good evening. My name is Ryan Duke with Duke Engineering. And this is Hosley DeLaxon. He is our architect on the project.
Good evening.
We can go to the next slide. Do I have the clicker? Oh, okay. Okay, so we're going to be proposing a project here on Enterprise Way and Market Street. It is just west of the existing Lamar building off of Sierra Highway. You guys might be familiar with that industrial business park. Our property is situated right there in that red outlined area at that corner. This is the site plan that we had prepared for that project. We've had some preliminary meetings with the city and have reviewed these, and it was suggested that we meet with you guys at the Architectural Design Review Board and get some feedback as far as not only the site plan layout, but also the building elevations and landscaping. So we have a few slides here that we're going to go through and get your feedback and opinions on how we have it laid out. Okay. So this is a blow-up of that site plan. As you can see, the building is situated as far as we can to the right-of-way on the primary street, which is Enterprise Parkway. The conditions that we have, we try to keep the building situated up against the right-of-way, but being on a corner, we know we have some exceptions and limitations with that. So on the secondary street, that's where we decided to put on that the off-street the primary access to the site for the small vehicles, and that's where our parking lot is adjacent to the front of the building. So that parking lot on the left side of the screen there is facing towards the storefront side of the building, and you'll see those in subsequent slides. I don't know if I can point here, but I'd like to just highlight how, there we go. So this would be the primary entrance point. Cars would park here along this face. This is the primary interface for the building. That's where all the storefront is. And then we have an access road that goes around the back of the building here, and then along the back of the building is where we would have all the industrial roll-up doors and things of that nature for the larger industrial C-vans and larger vehicles. So again, all these roll-up doors here are facing away from the public street, so we have them off of Enterprise Way and Market Street so that they're not in the immediate public view. And then this also serves as our fire department access route, which meets all their turning radius requirements and widths of that nature. The secondary driveway here is at the main street, so that's going to be primarily for exiting, so that should help with the traffic flow there. We're not going to have a lot of buildup of traffic on the major street, or on the primary street, I should call it. And just addressing the parking, we have met the requirement for parking plus a few additional. As you can see, we have parking all the way along the building or the road here, but we've also figured out a way to get a few along here just parallel to the property line, and even a couple here just for maybe some auxiliary vehicles, trying to get as much ample parking as we can. It is an industrial building, so we'd like to accommodate them as much as possible. Not too many challenges with the site, but the grading and the site drainage does work towards the public street. We don't have any issues with storm drainage or anything like that. We're draining to public parkway drains. And we do have to remove and relocate one street light there, and that will be moved over to either, I believe the ideal spot is here at this property line. So just open it up to you guys if you'd like to chime in, give me some opinions, some feedback on the site layout specifically before we maybe go on to the next slides.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions or any insights?
I would like to know who's going to be responsible for that street light that you want to be removed.
We will be relocating as part of our project. So we'll work with Edison on that
Okay.
relocation. Unless that might be a city-owned light. Either way, that
Well,
will be
that's why
something that
that's
we
why
will
I asked the
handle.
question. Who's responsible for you want to remove the light, but I want to know who's going to be taking responsibility for that.
Well, we're relocating the light. We won't be taking it out without putting it back in, just so that's clear. And if that is a light that's still owned by Edison, we'll work that directly with Edison. If that's one that the city's procured as part of their program, then we'll work obviously with the city.
Okay. Questions or insights on the site layout? Or can we move on to the next?
I have a question. I'm looking at A200, the floor plan, and is that a 30, I'm trying to read it here, it's so tiny. Is that a 31-foot well dock for the loading dock? Is it a drop-down well?
Yes.
Is that what that is? I
yes.
can't see it very well.
I don't think we have that as part of the slides as far as the floor plan. It was just primarily the site plan here.
That is what it is, though?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Any other questions, comments?
Okay. So this is the elevation. Again, this is that storefront side I was mentioning. As you can see, it's a masonry building, and we've done our best to add as much articulation to the elevation of the building as we can, given that it is a masonry building. So you see several bands running along the top, as well as just above the actual storefront itself. These here are canopies. These will be steel canopies that would come out about 4 feet, protect from rain like days like today, but also just adds a little bit of architectural articulation to the building. There are, I think we have 7 different suites. So we have each suite, I'm going to go back a slide. Each suite, as you can see here, has its own step out, just kind of due to the nature of the way that the lot is laid out. That helps get as much useful square footage out of the building, but it also makes it not a box. So it's kind of nice looking, and it'll add quite a bit of architectural flavor to this corner. These are the colors that we've selected. It's consistent. All 360 architecture is consistent with these colors. So we think they fit in not only with just the Antelope Valley in general, but the industrial setting primarily.
We'll be using 2 kinds of block, the half score and the 7-score block, to give it some texture too.
Okay, this is the rear of the building. This is, again, away from the public view, off the public streets, and it shares the same side as the property line. And these are the large roll-up doors that I was referring to that would allow access into the building. I believe we have them at 16 feet over here. So they're 16 foot high. Each one will have its own pedestrian
14.
access point and safety lights in the rear. This is the side. So again, this is just a 2D view. We may have a artist rendering at some point in time. You can kind of see that articulation, but you can at least see how the stack up will be as each one of those next suites grows in depth and then adds a little visual aspect to the building. This is the most boring side, and this is the side that no one will ever see. So this is away from the public view on all sides, and this is where we'll have the trash enclosure and those things, the items that we want to hide from the public view.
I have a question. So I'm looking at the site plan, and the ingress egress is from Market Street,
This is the primary access, yes.
and is there also access on Enterprise?
There is.
So my thought is, where, if you have large trucks coming in, which way would you be advising them to be coming through the property?
The advisable route would be in this manner.
And how many feet are at that the bottom section down there? How many feet is that between the building and the lot line?
So it's at least 26, because I know it meets the requirement from the fire department. Let me pull up a map that I can actually read the numbers on.
So the point I'm getting at is I'm questioning, are large 40-foot plus trucks going to be able to get through that, around that building adequately in that area?
The size vehicle that these guys are entertaining, leasing these properties aren't going to be the long semi-trucks. This is primarily designed for large cargo van type things that can back into the actual slot with that roll-up door, as well as accommodating the requirements for the fire department. We should be able to get a large vehicle through there, a full semi-truck, but that would not be the most common vehicle we would have, but it would still be accommodated.
It would still be accommodated. That's the question,
Correct.
because obviously at some point in time, some tenant may have needs for a large truck to come and deliver something to their loading dock, right? In the
Right.
back. And I imagine if there's that large loading dock in the back, that's going to be for a big truck to get into, right? To back up into the well?
Those would be what would we call that, a C-van? Yeah, a C-van, like the largest U-Haul that we could imagine. That would be the typical size. It wouldn't be a semi-truck and trailer that would be accessing it. Not that they couldn't, but it just wouldn't be the most common tenant that would be in that space, because they would not be capable of backing into the building.
Then why would you need a well? Why would you need a loading well if it's not going to be for a large diesel truck or one of the big delivery trucks?
The cargo container, the C-van type trucks are still elevated. And that would allow them to meet at the dock level, but they're just not as long. Okay, I think we left off on the last elevation. So is there any questions as it relates to the elevations, the colors, the articulation of the building? Okay, this is the landscaping plan. All the way along the right-of-way here, we have proposed trees. You should have a copy of the actual trees themselves. So these trees here, these are the golden rain trees. Those are the ones on the primary street, which would be Enterprise Way. I can't read the name. I forget the name of that one there. Let me go to my slides.
I do like the one on the right.
Okay, so the tree on the left there, that's the morning cloud type tree. That's on Market Street all the way along the right-of-way. And then we have the crepe myrtle that would be at the driveways themselves to add a little bit of color to the building or to the right-of-way. This is the low ground cover that we have selected. As you can see, it's a desert mix, but it does offer a lot of variation in color. Any questions on landscaping?
How long does it take these trees to grow? I don't see a time frame, really. I've looked up a lot of these trees that are good for our community. But these aren't some of the ones I happen to run across because there's so many. Is there a maturity time frame, just from us sitting here looking at this paperwork without having to Google it? Just asking for these 3 trees in particular. I don't see anything about how long it takes for them to be productive in our community, put it to you like that.
Sure. So what we do have in the drawings from our landscape architect, it tells us the basic size of what we're going to be anticipating. So for the morning cloud tree, the height is going to be 20 to 30 feet and 20 to 30 feet wide. Unfortunately, right at this moment, I can't tell you the growth period of time that would be, but I'm sure that's something that we can provide if necessary. The golden rain tree, it's similar, a little bit bigger, 22 to 35 feet in height and 25 to 40 foot in diameter. And then the smaller crepe myrtles, those are just the ones that are going to add that color at the driveways. Those are 12 to 13 feet in width.
No, I see the size and everything. I see all that. I just
Okay.
my thing was more of how long does it take? Kind of like the whole olive thing, olive tree. You know, it takes forever, but once it's there, and it's a bomb. It's awesome.
Right.
It's an awesome tree to have. So I'm just wondering how long would it take for us to get some shade from that tree?
I understand.
That's all I'm saying. From the minute you put it in the ground, how long is it going to take us in the city of
To enjoy
Lancaster
it.
to get shade from that tree?
Yeah.
'Cause that's
I
really
can
what I'm
respond to
asking.
that if that's possible in a follow-up question or email on maturity dates or timeframes.
I mean, I can look that up myself. I just didn't see it here, so I thought I'd ask, if you knew off the top of your head. But thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? All right.
Okay. Actually, I believe that would conclude our presentation. So we appreciate your time. I mean, ultimately, we're looking to get your blessing and approval on this project. So we understand that, this is the preliminary review, and we'll be returning in January, maybe, if you guys have a meeting, for the actual hearing and reading of this project. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. I do like the way it's stepped up in the articulation on the front.
It's kind of neat.
And thank you for the use of color out in the landscaping. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, moving along to Director's Review number 18-95. Can we hear the staff report, please, Ms. Alvarado?
Good evening, Commissioners and Chairman Carter. The last preview item you have before you this evening is DR 1895, which is for proposed elevations and floor plans of 2 new industrial buildings on previously approved building pads within the Lancaster Business Park specific plan. Staff does not have a report for this item. The applicant will have a presentation at this time.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening.
My name is John Swalby with AV Engineering, and we're presenting this project tonight. Consists of constructing 2 new industrial buildings using existing footprints and foundation slabs. It's located in Lancaster Industrial Park on the south side of Avenue K6 between Business Center Parkway and Gingham Street. It's right across the street from the LA County buildings. The addresses for the new buildings are 354, 360 East K6. Greg Haynes is developer of the property. Unfortunately, he was not able to be here tonight due to illness. The original development consisted of 4 parcels. 3 westerly parcels are developed. This project will complete the original development by constructing 2 new buildings on the easterly lot, which is highlighted on the right side there. This is the layout of the original project. There were 8 buildings initially proposed, but only the 4 westerly were built. The next 2 were converted into parking spaces, which serve all buildings, both existing and the proposed. And there you can see on the far right is the 2 proposed buildings. Here's an aerial that shows the developed buildings, the parking area, and the existing foundation slabs where the new buildings will be constructed. These were originally approved and permits were issued at one point for all buildings, but as I said, only the 4 westerly buildings were built. Kind of hard to see the street view, it's a little bit dark. The existing buildings are constructed of concrete tilt-up panels, granite slab accents, and painted trim and entry canopies. There's a central tower that serves as a focal point of entry for each set of buildings. There's common driveways serving the entire development are located in between each set of buildings as well. All buildings in the parking areas have complete street frontage landscaping as well as landscaping throughout the parking area. So the site plan here depicts the two new buildings, shows the outlines, parking areas, fire access, our traction closer, and landscape planning areas. Again, the slabs were poured already, so we want to use those footprints as much as possible. These are going to be shell buildings only, with tower entry focal points and open courtyard in between. Tenant improvements will be done in the future under a separate permit. All roof equipment will be fully screened by perimeter parapet walls. The roofs will drain away from the courtyard to the parking area side of the buildings. The original buildings were constructed using concrete tilt-up walls. Due to limited casting area, concrete masonry block will be the primary construction material. Different textures and color bands were proposed to break up the horizontal and vertical planes of the buildings. The color scheme, with the granite slab accents, the door canopies, and building heights, are consistent with existing buildings. They will be consistent with existing buildings.
So just so I'm gonna make sure I'm oriented correctly. These are two slabs that are over where the Bank of America, I guess it was, used to be.
No, they're on K6. The county buildings are just to the north.
Oh, it's closer to Penny Lane?
Yeah, down the street from Penny Lane.
Got it.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Services?
Yeah.
For reference sake, I brought up that image.
Oh, okay.
I brought up Google Maps.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry
so
for the interruption.
There are narrow, long buildings that were originally built. I think the original ones were built back in 2004, 2005 or so. And like I said, the original development, he had pulled permits for all 8 slabs, all 8 buildings, but he only built the 4. And then, we talked him into putting the parking area just because he had, the uses had a lot of occupants that required parking, so we told him to put those parking spaces in, and then now he wants to finish the development by building the last 2 buildings.
So this is the same design as the 2 existing?
Yes, the footprint would be the same. The only difference is those were concrete tilt-up. These would be concrete block.
Okay.
But we're going to break up the horizontal and vertical planes by using different textures, different colors, and then we'll have the canopies over the doorways that will match the existing building, and then the entry tower, the granite slabs. The proposed landscaping around the buildings and within the parking areas will be consistent with existing, so the development all looks consistent and the same throughout. And that's our slide presentation, so I'm open for any questions or comments.
Any questions or comments from the commission?
Just one. Fellow commissioner brought it up just a couple minutes ago. Kind of big on trees out here, man. Just want to know where these trees are going to go, because it seems like everything I'm looking at is just another no tree.
We will have trees, obviously, in the front street facade, and then around the building, and within all the parking fingers. We've got fingers on each end of the rows of parking. And then on the west side, we've got some diamonds every 4 spaces maximum. They'll also have a tree in it. And then the back row, or the back of the property, the south end, the bottom of the picture there, those trees are all existing. And those space about every 2 parking spaces.
It's an important thing. Thank you.
Okay.
I just don't see it on here. I looked on the project data and I just don't see it. see the landscaping, but I don't see exactly like what kind of trees or anything like that, so.
No, we didn't
That's-
specify any type of trees. We're going to match existing, obviously.
Okay.
We just haven't specified any for the preliminary landscape plan yet.
Okay.
So on the north side of the building, is that a pergola that you
Yes.
have on the plan? And is that what I'm seeing here?
Yes. And that'll
Okay.
match the existing one that's,
Detached from the two buildings?
yes, completely detached, yes.
Okay.
Any more questions or comments? Do you have any questions for us? Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I will say that, you know, you're as far as your 360 design, you're kind of limited by what's already there. So, the use of are you doing much like the last applicant was, just using different gauge concrete block?
Yeah, we're going to use different textures. There's going to be some split phase, there's going to be scored blocks, and then we'll paint it so the different textures have a different color. So the colors will match the existing building, and we're going to add a couple more, just so highlights a little bit more than was built there existing.
Sorry for letting you get all the way back to your seat
No
before I
problem.
asked.
No problem at all.
Apologize for that. But thank you. I appreciate it. Moving on to non-agendized items. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the commission on any subject regarding city business. Under state legislation, no action can be taken on non-agenda items. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the commission's regarding items not specifically referenced on the agenda. Please complete a speaker card for the recording secretary. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Are there any speakers?
There are no speakers.
Thank you. And with that, we will move to adjournment. We stand adjourned to the special meeting on January 10th, 2019.
Thanks.
Well, let me stop reading that for a second, because we did have. Did we move it we moved it to the 10th from the 6th?
The regular meeting is January 3rd, so I queried the commission on moving it to the 10th. I did hear back from enough of you to have a quorum,
Okay.
and so it was bumped out to January 10th.
All right. Just wanted to make sure that I wasn't speaking out of turn there. So, again, we stand adjourned to the special meeting on January 10, 2019 at 5 p.m. in the Lancaster City Hall Council Chambers. Thank you, and have a great evening.